Yo, what is going on, guys? Plunge here, and today we're gonna be watching Thomas Jujube's which Kamen Rider is the strongest. Now, I don't really know who's gonna be in this except for Grand Zi-O because I know he's got the powers of the previous Kamen Riders. But besides that, I don't really have an idea who's gonna show up in this video. So, without any further ado, let's go watch the video. This following video is intended for ages
Since the
13
dawn of the
and
internet,
up,
when
I
fans of
think.
Kamen Rider could finally connect with each other across the world, debates have been a persistent part of fandom culture. There are always
It always
conversations
is,
going
always
on
will
about
be.
toy lines, stories, and characters, or comparisons between different shows. This aspect sometimes tends to take the form of comparing different riders, specifically their power sets. There are tons of conversations like, if X8 and Build get into a fight, who wins? What about Double and O's? It can go on for ages, but eventually you want to figure out who's the strongest Kamen Rider, right? Who can get in a
Is
fight with
Decade on
everyone
here?
else
He's
and
also got the
always come out
powers of
on
the
top?
previous Kamen
That's
Riders,
the question
right?
I'm going to try my best to answer today. I'm here to take a look at all of the Kamen Riders and try to accurately figure out of all of them, which one is the most
Hi,
powerful.
Jin.
I'm looking at most
Glad
powerful
to see
in
you
terms of
again.
raw strength and abilities. I'm not looking at a character's intelligence or other aspects of their personality. I'm also not including other machines they may have access to, like their bikes or other rider machines, unless it's part of a form. Riders would only have access to all of their forms and weapons, but pretty much nothing else. Think of each rider coming from their height of power in the franchise and all coming together
so this
and
is
having
Prime.
to duke it out inside
Prime
of
versions
a
of the
massive battle,
characters.
a Kamen Rider battle royale, if you will. To do this, I will be talking slight spoilers regarding the existence of certain forms and their powers. Anything that's too spoilery regarding an actual season's story, I will mention it before I go in depth, just in case for those of you who do not want spoilers. This idea was originally suggested by Ghost Fixer and E2 Gaming at the same time in a live stream as part of the 10k subscriber special, and then was voted
interesting.
through by everyone else. There are already a couple 10k special videos uploaded by this point, so I recommend going to check those out before you watch this video.
channel
and
is
you can
really
check out the next
interesting.
video that will come out later on. Now, let's take a look at who is truly
Alright,
the
let's
most
get into
powerful
it.
Kamen Rider.
I want to see who
I
it
think
is.
the first step we gotta take is whittle down the competition. There are over 200 Kamen Riders by 2020, and I'm not going to take an entire month trying to compare everyone's power sets and eventually come up with a victor, especially when there are some pretty obvious choices. For starters, I'm going to cut our roster down to the primary riders of each
Okay, so
season.
just
They're
main
the main
riders.
characters of each show. Naturally, they'll be the most powerful by the end of it
okay.
because they're the main focus. There are a few exceptions here and there, but I'll deal with those later. The main riders also always get a definitive strongest form, their final form, which is what we usually see as the strongest form in a season. Now might be a good time to mention that I'm going off power levels demonstrated in the shows themselves. The Kamen Rider Wiki has information taken from official sources that has actual stats regarding kicking power and stuff like that, but it's not entirely accurate.
Oh,
the
it's
stats
not.
aren't really cross
Oh, okay.
compatible across different seasons, therefore invalidate a lot of discussions
60.
that I could use.
I just
with those
realized,
and that I want to make
gamer
in
level
this
X
video. The stats could
guy,
also be considered
girl,
non-canon since there's
has
no
a
mention
stronger-
of them
has a
in the
stronger
shows,
punching
whilst
power than the
other
previous
information
rider.
I'll be using here is mentioned in the shows or shown in the shows. So TLDW, I'm not looking at stats. Okay, Kuga. What's so important about Kamen Rider Kuga? Not only is he the first Heisei rider, but his final form, ultimate form, is said to be capable of destroying the entire world with a
Dang.
single rider kick.
So
You
he's
know,
a world
not too much
buster
power, but
type.
maybe enough that we can just immediately drop all of Showa out, since I'm not sure they can survive such a powerful kick or deliver one of that scale. Not to mention Kuga would theoretically also have access to the even more powerful Rising Ultimate form, which doesn't
Dang,
really
look at
have
the design
specifics
on that
the
one.
kick because, I mean, where else would you go when you can just destroy the entire world? I'll just be referring to normal ultimate for the most part, but just keep in mind, you know, it can get even more powerful if it needs to. So the other final forms after Kuga Ultimate don't seem to really have much else going for them in terms of strength of
Really?
this
Even
level,
Blade, huh?
until we get to Blade
Oh,
and
never mind.
Chalice. Blade spoilers ahead, please skip to this time if you don't.
Don't worry, I've seen
Alright,
Blade.
keep in
I
mind,
know what
I've actually
happens.
seen Blade, so this may be explained a bit poorly. I just kind of had to do a bit of research and go off of what I've known from other seasons. In Kamen Rider Blade season, both Blade and Chalice end the season as Joker Undeads, continuing the phenomenon known as the battle fight, which would result in the destruction of the world if either of them won. Since they are both the last remaining Joker Undeads, they can't fight or else they would destroy the world because of Joker Undeads and how that whole thing works. In Kamen Sentai Go Rider, this is shown as the game world slowly becomes vaporized from Blade being the only Joker undead in that world, but in Blade itself and Kamen Rider Zi-O, it's represented by a massive army of monsters under the control of the Joker undead. Or not really, I'm not entirely sure. Now, although this battle royale scenario could theoretically be some sort of pocket dimension like the game world in Go Rider, it's much simpler, I feel, to just apply the real world rules with the monsters. I'm pretty sure that if Blade and Chalice were to meet in this scenario and one wins, Kuga could probably defeat the summoned monsters since his ultimate kick is probably on the same world-ending level. So welcome back to those who didn't want spoilers. Kuga would beat both Blade Riders. So now, moving closer to present day, Kuga could beat all of these riders. Yeah, we'll get back to these two in a second.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Damn, this kick's pretty powerful.
Okay, I don't know who that guy is.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
We'll put you with Decade, and then
there we go.
Backwards now. So Build
getting
Genius
interesting.
itself is probably not able to beat the Kuga Ultimate Kick itself, as it barely beats Evil in its own season. So I'm not actually talking about Build here, we're talking about the season of Build, because Evil is the true competition here. In Evil's strongest form, be that black hole form or this weird pseudo-rider monster thing, he can create black holes at will.
Jesus.
For the uninformed, a black hole is a place in space where gravity pulls so much that
Yes.
even light cannot get
I didn't
out.
realize
Gravity
a
is so
Kamen
strong
Rider can
because
like make
matter
a
has
black
been
hole. That is
squeezed
insane.
into a tiny space.
I also didn't
Now,
realize
your
the Kamen
kick
Rider
can
could
be as
destroy a
powerful as
planet.
you want it to be, but I don't
Jesus,
think
look
there's
at
any way
that
you
thing.
can destroy a black hole, a literal
I never
force of
actually
nature.
realized
So,
how
Evil
strong
would be
Kamen
Kuga
Riders
Ultimate
are.
and is now the person on top of this battle. Moving further backwards, we have me, Muteki Gamer. Muteki
Okay.
will probably still lose to the black hole in that he'll be sucked inside of it, but we don't know exactly what would happen to him when he comes out the other side, since in theory the invincibility would allow him to survive the black hole, and no human has actually gone through a black hole at the time of this recording. Maybe you're
Probably
watching this in
never.
the future where we now know that going through a black hole grants you the powers of God, but right now we don't know that. So going through a black hole would kill you. We're not done with X8 yet though, thank goodness. As an X8 series, we have God Maximum Gamer level Billion. God Maximum is shown to have the ability to create games at the user's will. Games that can be literally anything ever.
Jesus.
You can throw an entire moon
I didn't
with the
realize
thing, so
how
you could
crazy-
probably
He's
make a black
throwing the
hole, right?
moon!
Or
What?
maybe even remove the opponent's own black hole, or maybe you could just remove all your opponents.
I
but
didn't
feel
realize
like
how
if that's
crazy
something
X8
Defone
would
could have
get.
done in its
Jesus.
appearances, it would be possible. So just throwing that aside. It also gets beaten by a recolor, so we're just throwing that all aside. But I think at the very least, God Maximum is tied with Kamen Rider Evil. Now there are some literal gods in this competition we'll get to later, but before I get to them, I wanted to quickly look at a Titan, Cronus. Yes, he can pause time, but since Muteki and God Maximum have been shown to not be affected by it, and then can easily beat Cronus after they avoid it, there's really not much of a competition bringing him in. He'd probably be easily defeated in the battle. Next, I want to look at Kabuto Hyper.
Okay.
Hyper has the ability to clock up at a speed that lets its user travel back in time.
Jesus.
This form is able to freely travel through time, unlike our other time-traveling riders in the competition who require outside equipment. Once again, something I'm not taking into consideration. I think it's pretty clear what this ability can do in a situation like this. Say Kuga's about to use his ultimate kick, or Evil and Kuroto are about to use some black holes.
You can
When
just
this
travel
happens,
back in time.
Kabuto Hyper just needs to speed back in time to right before they can activate the black hole or make the
And
kick,
then the job's
stop them.
finished,
Very
basically.
simple. Or maybe he could go all of the way back in time to when they become a Kamen Rider, stop that from happening, and now you've removed one threat from the battle. The only problem is I'm not entirely sure the extent of the battlefield the heroes are battling on. It could have no connection to the outside world, which removes the ability of Hyper being able to wipe people from the timeline, but even then Kabuto Hyper's ability to go back in time is also possibly a diversion around the black holes. As I said, they can suck up light, but the speed you need to go back in time would have to surpass the speed of light, correct? And just looking at the Flash TV show as an example, he can run backwards and forwards through time, and he avoids getting sucked up by a black hole. And both of these shows have basically.
I mean,
artificial
Barry
black
doesn't
holes
just
that
run
don't
at the
seem
speed
to
of
work
light.
entirely like the
He's
real
much
counterparts.
faster than
Kabuto
that.
Hyper could probably avoid these black holes and still do its time travel. The super speed is pretty much unbeatable. If Kabuto can't stop you from achieving whatever form is your strongest, then he should surely be able to stop you afterwards with the unmatchable speed. So now, what if there was someone who had control of a Hyper Kabuto, Blade King, Ultimate Kuga, and everyone in between? Oh, well, there is someone like that. Decade in his complete form. This form can summon the Heisei riders that came before him in their own respective final forms, granting Decade the ability to have his own versions of those riders that would be under his control. He can use his own Hyper Kabuto to take down threats at super speed, his own Kuga Ultimate to nuclear kick other threats, or his own Blade spoilers. Now, granted, the complete form on its own is probably not that powerful, but its ability to summon other final forms
Okay,
is
so
what
it's
would
not
allow
his
it to be
form.
so powerful.
It's just
in this
ability
instance.
to
in a battle where everyone is out for
make
themselves,
the other
it
Kamen
creates
Riders,
a team of massively
or,
powerful
make
riders
copies
on
of
the
them.
same side. Decade is now on top because of the simple fact that he has the other powerful riders I've looked at so far, and even more, all under his control. But who's someone that Decade doesn't have the ability to summon, but could still defeat the likes of the Kuga Ultimate Kick or the Hyper Kabuto Speed? Once again, Gaim spoilers ahead, skip to this time if you don't want to. So now that
Bring
we've
it to
all
me.
seen Gaim, we all know that he's the man of the beginning. Someone with basically all the powers of a god. He can almost instantly access his final form, he can teleport, he can control the attacks of others, and he has full control over the cracks and Helheim. So he could probably defeat the kick and speed in a match. But what would stop Kabuto from going back in time and, if the parameters allow it, stopping Gaim from achieving the god powers? Gaim is basically a singularity point. He can't be erased from time, but on another level. In Zi-O's Gaim arc, we have a scene where Sogo, in the Gaim armor, confronts another Gaim in 2013, the year Gaim was born. The importance of both of these suits being here is that Gaim should effectively not exist anymore. Another Gaim wipes him from existence, and the Gaim armor would have stolen his powers. However, in this moment, we see that Zi-O is basically plucked from the timeline and is placed in a sort of transcendent place where he speaks to Gaim in his god state and then gets transported back to another timeline and
I didn't realize how
Not only did
complicated
know about this
Gaim
timeline
actually
change
is.
that would have effectively removed
Jesus
him,
Christ.
he was also able to change it with the use of his own internal time travel. And this isn't even considering his actual final form. This is just abilities he has as a person. So if Kabuto somehow
That's his ability as a person, not even as a Kamen Rider. Are you guys hearing this? This is a first for me. I don't know. I've never seen Gaim before. He doesn't even need to transform. Why would he transform in the first place? That is so OP. What the hell?
erased him, he could probably still undo that somehow. And he has the powers to defeat all of the other riders in this competition. It's just so powerful. So we're in the endgame now. What if there was someone who was decade complete with the ability to summon other riders,
Grand
including
Zi-O?
the riders after decade like Muteki, Gaim Kiwami, and more? If only Zi-O. Sogo has two forms capable of plucking Kamen Riders out of the timeline in whatever form he requires them to be in, be it base form, super form, or final form. He pretty much has all of the assets of every main rider at his disposal. He's decade complete, only beefed up to be able to summon more riders, more forms, and more power. It's once again the case of, well, this rider can do this when Zi-O can just summon his own version to do the same thing under his control. The only problem is it's never explicitly addressed what the limits of the summoning are or the differences between Zi-O Grand and Zi-O Oma. We see Grand Zi-O summons various rider forms across the timeline in its debut, while Oma form seemingly just materializes riders in their final forms, and it also seemingly has the ability to summon obscure ones without any actual visuals, and we don't even know if this was because of Oma form. So Grand Zi-O can't summon other Kamen Riders that aren't primaries, and we don't really exactly know how Oma form's powers work outside of primaries, so it's unclear if there was some unforeseen threat from a non-primary Heisei rider. Would these riders actually be able to win? Thankfully, there's a very definitive answer of who would win this fight and all the others, and I kinda sorta just mentioned it. The evil Zi-O, Oma Zi-O. Zi-O,
Okay.
spoilers ahead, kinda minor, but they're in the last episode. It's very simple, really. Oma Zi-O has the powers of every Heisei Kamen Rider ever, as stated by him in the final episode of Zi-O.
It's the
He
power
can summon
of all
Evil's black
riders.
holes, pause time like Cronus, move through time like Kabuto, is a god like Gaim, is invincible like Muteki, and unlike Decade Complete or Grain Zi-O, these powers are every bit a part of Oma, as they are a part of those original riders. And even then, he should still be able to just summon more riders since he has those other powers too. He one-shots main villains from multiple rider seasons in a matter of minutes. Take that, Kazu. And afterwards, just his own main villain. Even if he lacks the abilities of Showa or Reiwa, there's enough strength in the Heisei power set that
Oh my
Oma
God,
should
that's
have no
Onyx.
problem dispatching
Or
them.
in our
But if
world,
there's a
actually,
Reiwa villain
in
who
the
can absorb
in the US, in
powers,
the
let's
Philippines,
say, I
that's
don't
Kamen
know,
Rider
Bowser,
Onyx.
he can't because another Decade couldn't even do that. No one can steal his powers. They're just specific to him. This is the time where people would skip to if they didn't want spoilers. This whole video, looking at the strongest powers of the other riders, is pretty much Oma's entire portfolio. One of these powers might be strong enough to defeat all of the other riders on its own, but combining all of them together makes Oma Zi-O the unstoppable threat, the Demon King of Time, the truly strongest
So,
Kamen Rider. So
he's
Oma
still
Zi-O
it.
is the undisputed strongest
Still
Kamen Rider,
unbeatable,
but
huh?
What about if there was no Oma Zi-O? Do you think we'd still see one of the summoners come out on top, or could there be an ace in the hole I'd completely missed because there's over 200 Kamen Riders? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, or maybe even come up with some other scenarios
Jesus
if you want in
Christ.
this
So
theoretical
he
rider
is
battle.
the strongest
You can
Kamen
factor in
Rider, huh?
intelligence or personality
The guys weren't
like I
lying to
didn't
me.
do,
It
or
is
even some more
facts.
variables like environment or form limits. I'd love to be able to have conversations with you guys about all of this stuff in the comment section. But for now, for more Kamen Rider content, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you
that
for
was it.
watching.
Thank you for telling me who is the strongest Kamen Rider. Okay, that is it for Thomas Jujubes. Which Kamen Rider is the strongest? I guess I didn't really need to watch this video. The answer was in my face the entire time. It is still Oma Zi-O, the greatest, the strongest Kamen Rider out there. He's got the powers of the previous Kamen Riders, so he can basically do anything that he wants. And I also didn't realize before watching this video how ridiculously strong the Kamen Riders are. Because like I've said in the previous videos, my Kamen Rider knowledge is not as advanced as you guys watching this video. I always thought Kamen Riders were just, street level superheroes like, Batman, Spider-Man. They just have super strength and that's pretty much it. I didn't realize some of them were world breakers, were, planet busters. They can summon black holes, they can rider kick a planet off of existence. Crazy stuff like that. It's insane. I didn't realize how there are basically Kamen Rider gods in the Kamen Rider world. Even though I did react to the power of Oma Zi-O, the greatest, kindest demon lord or something like that before, it still didn't seep into my brain how powerful some Kamen Riders truly are. I didn't know they're literally gods in the Kamen Rider universe. But yeah, that is interesting. Blade is also considered as one of the strongest riders out there. I didn't know X8 would get, that ridiculous. I guess I'm just at episode 4, before I stop because of the copyright strike that we received. And it's shaping to form like a normal Kamen Rider series. But upon watching this video, I got spoiled, of course. I didn't know he had like a form where he's literally invincible, like an actual video game character who cheated and he can't be hurt anymore. So that is insane. I didn't realize that. But yeah, this video just opened my mind, my knowledge to Kamen Rider even more. Some of them are really, planet busters. Some of them can really stack with the best of superheroes. So yeah, this is an interesting video. I would like to thank Thomas Jujube for making this video. It's really informative, especially for someone like me who has Kamen Rider knowledge, but my knowledge isn't really that, broad, really not to the extent of this guy. So make sure to subscribe to his channel. He's got 30.6k subscribers. He's probably well known in the Kamen Rider community. But yeah, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit like, subscribe, follow our socials. Gonna be linked in the description. Help us reach 2,000 subscribers. We're currently at 1,100 subs. We are so close to 1,200. So thank you guys so much for the support, the likes, the comments, and the dislikes. We really appreciate your honest and sincere feedback towards us. Also, make sure to check out our official Discord channel. We talk a lot in there. We share our personal experiences, exclusive content, all that other stuff. So make sure to check it out. And yeah, I guess that's it. In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.